So walk us through your draft day, being seventh overall pick in the first round. What was your day like that day?
I remember I didn't get no sleep the night before. I was extremely nervous. It's crazy because the draft is in New York. I live in New York. My apartment at that time that I was renting, that it was all on credit because I didn't have money, but I was living pretty nice already, was down the street essentially from the draft. I remember walking to the hotel. I didn't even need a hotel because my apartment was down the street. But that process was pretty hectic. First day was well, that day, it was a lot of, media, a lot of this, that, and the third, a lot of.
Were you by yourself? Were you with your family?
Well, I was by myself, yeah. There was a lot of responsibilities that I had to do. They had us doing a bunch of stuff. And I was not really with my family. I was with them after I got, when the draft began and we was all in the same table because I was in the green room. But it was crazy, and I just remember, like, I knew from the pick number 1 through 5, 1 through 4, I should say, I knew who was in front of me. Like, I knew there was other guys that were going to go those picks. But from 5 all the way to whatever number, that's when I was in play. And then Charlotte, who I worked out for twice, had the 5th pick, and I thought I was going to go to Charlotte. But then I'm going with a point guard. I ended up going with Raymond Fountain. Shout outs to Ray Fountain, good friend of mine. He went 5th. Portland had the 6th pick. I didn't work out for Portland, so I knew I wasn't going there. Toronto had the 7th pick. I worked out for them, and that was the best workout I had. And I remember my agent at the time was like, "You're up." So I'm like, okay.
Let me pause you for a minute. What were your feelings like at that moment?
Yeah. So I'm like, oh shit, okay. And I just remember like they didn't know what to do. And here comes the commissioner, David Stern. And then I remember looking to my corner of my eye, and then you see the camera coming already. So I was like, that's a dead giveaway. I'm like, oh shit, I'm next. We're rich, baby. We out the hood. I just remember nervous as hell. I'm 20 years old. My mom, my dad, a mentor of mine, Nate Blue. Shout out to Nate Blue. My brother Rob C, my brother Rob E, and my sister Genesis were all there in the green room on the table. And I just remember that camera coming up. And then, for the 7th pick, the Toronto Raptors select Charlie Villanueva, and that was just, I mean, I only got to experience that once. That's a once of a lifetime thing. I'm never gonna experience that again. That was like, wow, like, whew, we made it. And then go up there, I get my hat, put my hat on, and then the first thing I said was, when I'm about to shake the commissioner's hand, don't fall going up the steps because the whole world is watching right now. So get my shit together. Do not fall off. Do not trip. Don't. And then got my little hat, walked up the stairs perfectly, shook his hand, and it was just like, man, like, all right, we made it. Like, and then did my interviews, and I just remember, I didn't know this until the next day, and I can touch on that here in a second, but do my little interviews afterwards or whatever, and then talk to the GM, talk to the coach, do all that stuff. And then, I got drafted. I've never been, I don't think at this time, out the country like that. I had my passport. Never been to Canada before, so this was going to be a little bit different for me. But I was ready for it. And, once I did all my media obligations, now it's time to meet with the fam. So that was fire and dope. I had all my aunts, uncles, family, friends, all at the Madison Square Garden, and just seeing them, it was like, man, like we made it, And then I remember I ended up getting a limo, and that was like a thing back in the day. It was the stretch limos. I think I had like a stretch Escalade or something. And I had all my cousins. So now it's boys' night out. I'm 20 years old, though.
You can't even drink yet.
I can't even drink yet. And I wasn't even drinking. Like, drinking wasn't even like a thing for me. That became a thing after I was in the league for, my first year in the league, I should say. But yeah, so we went out, got something to eat, all my cousins, and that was a dope moment. And then we went out and hit a night around town and had some fun. And then the thing is, I didn't even sleep. Get back home at like 5, 6 in the morning to jump on a flight to go to Canada. And I remember when I took the flight, they set you up nice, first class, whatever. And on the flight, Air Canada, they were handing out the newspaper, for the first class members, whatever. And who do you see? Whose picture you see right front cover? Boom! You see my face. I'm like, oh shoot! Like, oh, this is crazy. And I don't even think people knew what was going on. People didn't even know that was actually me. And and I just remember like on it says something like, can't remember word for word, but did Toronto make a mistake or something like that? Like it was more like, did Toronto make the right move, my pick? And I was like, oh my God. Like, here I am. Like, that's me. That's me, guys. Next to you guys. That's me. I'm like, oh, shit, here we go again. So that's why, like, it kind of goes back in full circle because anytime, people doubt me and, people don't believe in me, like, nah, I'm going to show you what I can do, and I ended up having a great rookie year. Was rookie runner-up to Chris Paul. If it wasn't for Chris Paul, I would have definitely got MVP. Rookie of the year, but it was cool. Had a great year, and I always played with a chip on my shoulder that year. And eventually, Toronto became one of my favorite cities, and the city embraced me with open arms. To this day, I go back to Toronto, and the love is crazy. And it's just crazy because I only played for Toronto for 1 year. And really 6 months, because that's how long I was there. But the love that I got, that I still get to this day, is crazy because they knew there's like, because at that time, Chris Bosh, who played the same position as I at that time, they didn't think him and I could play well together. And it's like, why draft somebody the same position where their best player plays? So they were knocking the pick at first, but I knew on day one, like, yo, I'm gonna bust ass. I'm gonna earn their trust. I'm gonna earn their love. And to this day, the love is crazy because I did exactly that.
So, what was your favorite team to play for throughout your career?
Favorite team?
We got Milwaukee. We got Raptors.
Detroit, Toronto, Dallas. Toronto, I had moments in each and every team, and I'm going to address it. It just so happened I'm looking, and I got the cheat sheet right in front of me. But Toronto was the best. No, I don't want to say the best. It was welcome to the NBA moment. It was, I didn't know what to expect. Toronto taught me what the league was about. Toronto taught me a whole lot. I learned a lot about Toronto, and then the city is just amazing. The fan is just unbelievable. I got so much love for Toronto. That's like you don't talk about Toronto. That's like my baby, right? Toronto is like, it has my heart for sure. Milwaukee is where I kind of grew and started becoming a man. It was the place that I experienced some good things. I had some great moments. It's actually the best team. The most success I had was in Milwaukee, so to speak, and it kind of led me to my next team. So I got nothing bad to say about Milwaukee. Even though when I got traded from Toronto to Milwaukee, I hated it. I was fucking pissed as shit. And then eventually, I started getting used to Milwaukee and I loved it. It's a pretty dope city. And then Detroit. Detroit was my darkest days. It was kind of where, like, I'll say my career started going down. I was into Detroit for 5 years. Went in there with one type of, with a certain type of mindset, and then it didn't end up working out. It was a toxic environment. It was a lot of disgruntled older guys. There was a lot of, there was no team chemistry. Guys were separated. And those 5 years were the most hardest years of my life. I had issues, personal issues. Basketball wasn't going right. Injuries. I experienced all that in Detroit, but was managed to still do enough to stick around for 5 years. Obviously, I was there for 5.
Was that the time that you had the CV lifestyle?
The VB lifestyle.
We'll talk about that in this segment, but
Yeah, the VB lifestyle. Yeah, my brothers, man. My brothers were this. This is like the party. This is Detroit was the. This when I had my big contract. I'm living in a mansion, and I'm on the first floor. My other brother's in the basement level, and then my brother and my other cousin are in the top floor. I mean, we was living life. We was living life. We called this the Four Horsemen. So there's 4 single dudes living in the house. So you can imagine what was going on. Then they had money, so so you already know what was popping in Detroit. Yeah. But we had Detroit popping.
Would you say Detroit had y'all popping bottles?
Detroit having pop. Oh, we popped a whole lot of bottles. Yeah, we sure did that for sure. My brothers were in the night scenes. That didn't help either. Getting distracted or whatnot.
Did you feel like your performance in the basketball affected that while you were?
Yeah, I'm glad. That's a great question. So yes, it did. Something else I'm gonna say that I've never said it with cameras around. Certain people know about it.
I'm getting the exclusive here.
Yeah, you're getting the exclusive here. So I can't remember what year it was. Well, there's 2 things I'm gonna say that was crazy. That's where I did my most drinking, was in Detroit. I was never a big drinker. I was a late bloomer, got introduced to it. When I got to the NBA, some of my vets were like, yo, you gotta drink. I didn't know what the fuck Patron was. I didn't know anything about liquor. That's what they was drinking. All right, fuck it, let's take a shot. Boom, whatever. They didn't really like drinking in Milwaukee. I didn't really drink much. But Detroit is kind of what I drank the most because, and I remember looking back at it one day, and out of the 30 days or 31 days that was in the month, I drank 28. And I was depressed. They gave me some anti-depression pills, which I only took 2 or 3 times. I needed help. My mental wasn't there. Yeah, man, that's where some tough days. And then the other thing I would say is, I remember in Detroit, I went to a game. I've never done this before. But I was so depressed that I went to the game drunk. I was already drunk. So imagine playing a game while being drunk.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was me. So I experienced that.
Do you remember what game that was?
I don't. I think we was playing Indiana Pacers, and my thing is I know okay, I'm drunk. Act normal. Don't let nobody notice what the fuck going on.
But how do you act normal when you're drunk? Were you tipsy or were you drunk?
No, I wasn't drunk. Now, one thing about me is when I used to drink, which I don't drink anymore, but when I used to drink, I'm very conscious of what I'm doing. I would never get to the point where I'm drunk. There was only one time, and I let my brother, this is going to be off cameras, I'll let Rob tell you that one. Because he was there when I was drunk. That was hard. It was hard because no one really knew what was going through my mind or what I was going through. I lived with both my brothers and my cousins. And I tell them all the time, it's you guys never knew what the hell I was going through. Because I'm so used to it. It takes me back to when I was dealing with alopecia. It's okay, I'm the head of the family. Well, I'm the head of, in this case, I was the head of that household. I can't let them see what I'm going through because it shows weakness, right? I can't let them see what, my battles, my struggles. And then it goes back to when I had alopecia, I didn't want to see my mom. My mom was taking it hard, but I didn't want her to see my feelings. to show my emotions. So, because I didn't want to affect her, because I see what I was doing to her. So if I was to pretend show strength, she'll be cool about it. So back to, my Detroit days. It's a lot of learning experience. Those are my tough days. And then Dallas, going to Dallas now. I know I answered this is a pretty long answer, but Dallas is
Dallas is your home now.
Dallas is home. So Dallas gave me life because at the end of my career in Detroit, I felt like my career was dead. But Dallas gave me an opportunity, and it was like I went to rehab, kind of. Went to rehab intervention, and Dallas gave me life. They gave me an opportunity. People don't understand. Like when I signed with Dallas, I just signed a what do you call that? A preseason contract. Like, bro, I was not even on the team. Like they already had 15 contracts. I didn't even have a locker. Like that is the most humblest experience I ever experienced is getting drafted number 7, getting traded to Milwaukee. And Milwaukee, I'm doing my thing. I get paid. Go to Detroit. Detroit was up and down. And in those 3 teams, I had a locker. Had a decent 3 years outside of Detroit where it was a little shaky. But Dallas, I go to Dallas and I don't have none of that. Now I'm just in the corner and it's just like, damn, like, whew, humbling, super humbling. But again, it goes back to whenever somebody doubts me and if somebody gives me, all I wanted was like, yo, if somebody gives me an opportunity, gives me a lifeline, I'm gonna take the most of it because I've done that all my life. I did it. I beat alopecia. I beat the odds of making it to the NBA. Like, I grew up on welfare. A kid that grew up in the hood in Denman. Like if you really, a Dominican kid at that. You know what I mean? It's like, if you think about how many Dominicans are in the NBA, like 4. You know what I mean? That ever made it. You know what I mean? The numbers are small. Anyone who has alopecia in the NBA. I mean, now we just got one, Jordan Walsh, another one. But that's 2. I can only name you 2. How many players from New York go to the NBA? You know what I mean? So those numbers are very small. And what people don't understand, like in the NBA, the total existence of the NBA, less than 5,000 people played in the NBA. Think about that number. And think about how many people play in the NBA. So the odds, me defeating the odds, is what the fuck I do. And been doing that shit since the beginning. So when Dallas gave me the lifeline, I remember, like, yo, I'm making this team. I'm going to make this team. They're going to have a tough decision, let me go. Went through the preseason, did my thing, and guess what? They had to let somebody go. And I just remember talking to Mark Cuban at that time and, talking to the coaches, like, yo, we're going to sign you to January. So now I'm on the team till January. So now, again, same shit again. Like, yeah, they're not giving me a contract, like a full year. Okay, cool. January comes around. They gotta sign me for the rest of the year. They end up signing me for the rest of the year. And then so I had that year contract. That contract was up. Boom. If free agency starts, Dallas is the first team to call me. Yo, we want you back. So, come on, I don't even send me what I'm signing. Yeah, I'm signing. Whatever you want, I'm there because they gave me that's why I'm like, Dallas, I'm super connected to them. Only played it for 2 years, but the love is crazy. And I feel a connection with Dallas, man. It's a beautiful city. Ended up making it my home. A little outside of Dallas, but Texas is where it's at. I love Texas, and I owe the world to Dallas because they gave me a second chance. And, it was 2 years, short-lived, but hey, I learned so much. It was such a humbling experience. It was so gratifying because, I worked my way like from nothing, from not having a locker to now having a nameplate on your locker and getting, 2 years.
Your name on the court.
And I forgot about that. The name is on the court. The name is on the court. So, yeah, man, being Dallas was pretty dope, man, because it kind of brought my career, brought the love back to the game. And you would think like, it gave me life. And the way I break it down is, life is like a heart monitor, right? When you have, they want to check your heart, they put a bunch of patches on your heart and you see, that means up and down, right? You can see up and down. Up and down means what? You got life, your heart is beating. You don't want flatline. Flatline means you're dead. So Dallas gave me that life, man. It gave me that life. It gave me that second opportunity, and I made the most of it. Ended up playing 2 more years, and so that was a long answer to your question, but Toronto and Dallas.
Toronto and Dallas.
Yeah.
So I have to ask now, which was the most funny or memorable locker room experience out of all?
Crazy. I would say Milwaukee. Milwaukee was, we had, we didn't win, we won some games, but we had a cool group of guys, man, that had each other's back. One of my best friends, Ramon Sessions, still talk to him to this day. Bobby Simmons, Roy Lively. There are some guys that I still talk to this day that we have unbelievable bonds. But we used to have a crew, we used to call it the Get It In crew. We used to get it in.
Name says it all.
The Get It In crew. We used to get it in, but it was a bond. The fellowshipping was pretty dope. The bonding was dope. The chemistry was dope.
Just that brotherhood that you
The
picked.
brotherhood, there you go. The brotherhood was there, was pretty dope. And that's kind of what I miss most about in the NBA is the brotherhood, the traveling, the camaraderie, spending time together, and breaking bread. Those are the dope times for sure.
It's good. So I'm going to take you back to a moment now. It might, ruffle little feathers, but Milwaukee, he was drafted that year and he, played during most of the season and you were kind of benched. How did you feel kind of your position taken when you felt like you worked so hard and it's like, I got someone else coming and taking my position without your performance being a factor?
Yeah, so in the NBA, what people don't understand is there's only so much players on a team, right? But every year there's an NBA draft. There's 60 players that come in. And the first round is 30, second round is 30, but the first round is guaranteed. So at least 30 new players are coming in that have a job guaranteed. So that means 30 got to go out. So that's always a challenging part. Making it to the NBA is hard, but staying in the NBA, it's even harder. So I remember one year, I can't remember the year, I'm going to say it was probably 2007 or 2008. When I was with Milwaukee, no, I wouldn't say it was 2007. So it was 2000. I had a great year, 2006. Ended up getting hurt, but I'm looking forward for 2007, and they ended up drafting Yi. Yi was might have been the second player from China ever. Yao Ming was was number one, and then Yi was number two. And I remember just like, okay, he plays the same position I do. Okay, we're gonna have to fight for our spot. Cool, let's go, because I could do that all day. But when I saw that, I was playing well and practicing, and they were making me come off the second unit, I was like, yo, I am busting dudes' ass, and here I am. They are still putting him in front of me. It's like, wow, okay, this is a business. That's when I got introduced. This is a business. He comes from China. He comes with a lot of marketing dollars behind that. A lot of sponsorships behind that. And the NBA wants to tap into China. So that's a good way to do it. China is one of the largest countries out there. So for the NBA to expand in China, they have to let this kid play. Milwaukee had to let him play. So I had to play a backseat role. But it was frustrating because there's a lot of politics involved. Any NBA player you talk to, Lynn, I'm telling you, they will tell you that the NBA it's a lot of politics. And I had to respect it. It is what it is. It's a business. So it was frustrating, but I had to deal with it, and I did that.
So you played 11 years in the NBA, Dallas being your last season of playing basketball. How was your last year of playing, and how did you transition to life after sports?
It's crazy because once in 2016, when I knew that was my last year. I just felt it. Body wasn't the same. The passion wasn't there. So I knew 2016 was going to be my last season. Did I feel like I still had gas in the tank? Yes. But the same passion and drive wasn't there. So I didn't really know what to do. Now it's like, all right, figure it out. Like, what's life after basketball really? Like, what happens? And unfortunately, like when you're in the NBA, when I was in the NBA at an early age, you don't think about the end. So I didn't really think about the end until the end.
Because all you eat, breathe, and sleep is
It's
basketball. You
basketball.
wake up, you practice, you meetings, back to back. That's your life.
Yeah, that is life. You're kind of almost like programmed because it's the same schedule every year, or every day, I should say. And my dad was just a big advocate on investing in real estate. And, I didn't really know much about it. Whatever, just trust him. Then my brother started getting into it. So,
Would you say those are the two men that inspired you to get into real estate?
yeah, absolutely. My dad was, and my brother would say the same thing. My dad was the one that kind of put it in our ears. And, my brother took the initiative to kind of like take it a step further by getting his license and stuff like that. And my dad ended up finding a couple deals in New York that made sense, and I had the cash for it. I didn't know anything about leveraging. I didn't know about how to buy. I don't know how to use a line of credit, mortgages, taxes. I don't know, 1031 exchange. I don't know none of that.
So who was your mentor and kind of guiding you through that?
Myself, really, trial and error.
They say you're your best teacher.
You are your best teacher, and it was expensive because I made a lot of mistakes too. But I learned as time went on, and bought one property, started with one, and then bought my second one, bought my third one. Then my brother was managing it. My dad was kind of finding the deals. Then they went from that to my brother kind of took over, and now he's finding the deals. And he ended up moving to Houston because he was living in Florida with me at the time. And he ended up moving to Houston and became his own realtor. So then he established some relationships over there, and like, let's build some houses over there. And I didn't know what to do. I just had the money, so I was like, all right, I trust my brother. So I kind of let him do his thing. So he built some houses for me. He ended up partnering up with Hakeem Olajuwon's brother, TJ. And it's just a crazy story, TJ's story is just crazy. And then you have two brothers whose brothers played in the NBA are now working together. So it was a pretty cool storyline, and he built some single family homes for us. And my brother did everything. I was just really just writing the checks and just approving yes, 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 yes. While I was at the time living in Florida, and then I decided to move to Dallas. And then, started investing in Houston. And then my wife was actually the one that brought it up. Still remember, after we just left Houston, I was probably dealing with something with one of the properties. She's like, on our ride back, she's like, why don't you do it in Dallas? And I'm like, shit, like, why not? Okay. Like, yeah, that's a good idea. I never thought about it, but I was like, cool, but that's going to require time for me and for me to kind of, never really thought I would go that route, but I said, okay, cool. Because I was so used to people doing everything for me. I was just the writing the checks. So I said, okay, fuck it, she ended up, she had a contractor she had in mind. It was a friend of hers, and we linked up together. We had dinner or whatever, and then we came up with this plan. And then, all right, fuck it, let's do our first one. We ended up doing our first one, and it was good. And then, from there, I ended up buying like 5 or 6 more property. I was getting a super low interest rate, so it was free money, and I was out there just buying properties left and right. And I was giving it to this contractor, but this contractor was too much work. And when I gave it to him, gave him the job, he wasn't honest enough to tell me like slow down, like they just do this, that, and the third. He was just taking on the jobs thinking he could manage it, and eventually, bad management and things weren't going right and deadlines weren't being met. So ended up firing him, ended up going a different route. And then, one thing I found, it was hard to find good contractors. So we were hired other contractors and we were still having issues. So now I'm already paying 2 or 3 times the amount to do a job where, if I would have had the right contractor, it would have saved me a lot of money. But it got to the point, it got so bad that I didn't trust anybody. So me and my wife just literally became our own general contractors. Like we were legit hiring, whatever needed to be done, and we took it one property at a time because I had like 6 properties at the time, and we legit took it one property at a time and took care of what needed to be taken care of. I did a lot of work myself. She did some work too. It was an experience for sure. I caught myself painting like at 8 o'clock at night. I'm out there painting. Like think about it. I'm out there picking up trash, and I remember I put a video.
This is normally what you pay someone to do.
Someone else to do, but because I already spent like 2 or 3 times the amount, I said I can't afford to keep paying people. I'm just gonna do it myself. And here you have a former NBA player and his wife, his trophy wife. What people we out here picking up trash. Like you want to talk about humbling? We out here picking up trash.
And that's what people don't see.
People don't see. I'm picking out trash, but I'm getting in my Rolls Royce afterwards. So you feel me? So that's different though. But that's how like the mindset I was like, I'm gonna do it myself. I need to figure it out. And could I pay for somebody else? Yes, but no, I have to experience this. That's why everything happens for a reason. And it prepared us. It got us, to where we needed. And I learned so much in the whole process. I know a lot more about electrician, plumbing, foundation, roof. A lot of things that I would have not learned if I would have just paid somebody else to do it. But now, like, you can't bullshit me now.
Because you went through it, you saw it.
Because I went through it, I saw, I had to experience, I'm there. Like, there was a time period of our lives where legit, and I love my wife to death for this, man. She was right there with me. And it's hard to find somebody to ride with you on your lowest, especially on the business side of things. Houston was still working out fine, but Dallas is where, it was extremely challenging, but we was able to overcome that. And, it started with 1 in Dallas, then 2, 3, then at one point I was having like 7, 8 at a time, and it was working. It was a lot of work for sure.
And you just sold 2 in Houston, actually. Well, actually, you actually sold 1 in Houston. One's closing.
One is closing soon. Shout outs to Lynn. Shout out to my realtor Lynn and Rob C. Rob, the TX realtor at Surge for making it happen. But
it was a little bittersweet because for those of you who don't know, I do property management and I managed 3 of his properties, so it was a little bittersweet to kind of let them go because I managed and helped you.
Yeah, I took some jobs away from you, but hopefully there'll be more down the road. You've been fantastic. Yeah, so it's been an experience. Now I'm at the point where I'm changing gears on how I do my business in the real estate, but real estate is always going to be a part of me. So it's kind of just a fresh start now.
So the homes that you're currently selling are single-family homes that you spoke about wanting to sell those to go into a different type of real estate. Can you elaborate on that?
So one thing I learned is as I was going through this whole process of being a landlord, especially with single family homes, and we've had some rough years, especially 2023 was a rough year. COVID was tough years as well, but there was nobody really working. Everybody was working from home or stuff like that, and so the real estate is what kind of held me down. But in 2023, I just felt like it was just a hard year. People were losing their jobs and couldn't make rent payments. And in this business, I mean, it's I'm human, so I try to work with people, but sometimes it's you gotta pay rent. I mean, that's just what it is. And if you don't, you get evicted. It's just what it is. So that process of evicting, I mean, it sucks. I don't like it, but you got to do it. So once I realized, like, I evicted one person, and potentially I was on the verge of doing another one, but it ended up working out. But, in the single family homes, when you invest in single family homes and you put a tenant in there, the tenant is basically covering your bills and putting some profit in your pockets. But when that tenant decides not to pay you no more, it affects the whole deal. Now you're losing money. Now you got to come out of pocket. Now you're not paying your whether it's a mortgage or a credit line that you have. You're not meeting those deadlines on when payment is due. So it affects the whole deal. So to me now, I'm more focusing on multifamily, where if one tenant doesn't pay rent, for some reason, that deal is still producing a positive cash flow.
Especially for a fourplex.
Yes, for sure, especially for that. So I'm in the verge. So keep your lookout. If you come across any multifamily, let me know.
So what made you get into real estate? Because most athletes go into reporting, into coaching or training. But what made you, other than I guess your dad and your brother inspired you?
I knew I love basketball, but once I lost the passion for it, and I love watching it still, I knew like I kind of wanted to get away from basketball, so to speak, because I feel like they took the keys away from me. So I needed to create a door that they can't take the keys from me. No pun intended with the real estate, right?
Yeah.
Bars. But yeah, so I just created my own door, and I can do this for the rest of my life, and nobody can take that away from me. Basketball just wasn't the way for me. I just felt like I didn't love it that much, and it took, me and basketball had a hard relationship. It was my girlfriend for a while. And, you have back and forth, and then, it was like, you don't ever go back to your ex, bro. Like, that was the path. Some do, but not this guy over here. So that was the end of it for me, So I broke up with basketball, and that's it. I just wanted to create something different, something that they couldn't take the keys away. And real estate, lo and behold, there was real estate.
So most athletes, when they go into the NBA, especially without them having financial literacy and having $1 million, what advice would you give to them going into the NBA in regards to financial literacy?
Have a relationship with your money. Don't let others handle your money for you. Be in those meetings. I mean, you want to hire the professionals, because they are professionals on money management, whether it's taxes, whether you're accountant, whether it's your financial advisor, whatever it is. Make sure you have a relationship with them as well. Some of these people don't have relationships with their own advisors, and don't even talk to them, or give them all the power to kind of do whatever they want. And that's the biggest mistake. You are a business, you are a brand, you are a company. So if you are entering the league, you are a brand, you are a company, you are an entity. So handle it as such. Be in the meetings in there, knowing what's going on. Meet with them quarterly, and look at your books. Look at your spending. Create a budget for yourself. See what's coming in, see what's going out. Understanding your taxes. That's one thing that I didn't do a good job at for me when I wasn't playing was my taxes. Like I just let my tax guy do it all, and I didn't really oversee it. I didn't really review it. And then coming to find out, towards the end of my career, I hired a professional to just look at my taxes to see if my taxes were ever done right. And I could have been doing this years ago, but I decided this 1 year specifically to just have somebody else look at it. And he's found a lot of deficiencies. So he found a lot of things that were not done right. So I ended up getting my taxes amended, for the past 3 years, and ended up getting a shitload of money back, close to 500 grand back. So to me, I could have been doing that way further, and I feel like sometimes some people just do bare minimum and you're not really on top of them. So make sure somebody's overlooking their work. Because at the end of the day, these people, these professionals, they work for you. They work for me. So I'm the boss. So I tell them what to do. And then if I want to hire somebody else to look at their work, they shouldn't have a problem with it. And if they do, then they must be doing something shady or something that they're not supposed to do.
Right. So do you feel like that experience was the one that made you pay your own bills? Because that's something that you do now. You don't let nobody else.
Yeah, no, I was always like, I never let someone else write a check for me. I never gave them that power of attorney, whatever it's called, over my finances. I was always one to pay my bills and this, that. I mean, they'll write the checks for me. They'll make the checks and I'll just sign it. But now that my taxes, that situation helped me out a lot because that made me focus and pay attention more on my books, more on my finances, and see what was going on. And
because it's all about numbers when it comes to you.
It's all about numbers. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't, Lynn. You feel me?
Exactly.
But yeah, so that time, I was just started educating myself and learning about, the finance, understanding my money and seeing where it was going and what it was doing and understanding all that. That's when that started happening.
Well, that is a wrap, you guys. You heard it from Charlie. Have a relationship with your money, because if you don't, somebody else will.
Yeah, exactly. That's well said.
Thank you again for having me. And
Yeah, no problem.
thank you.
Thank you.